Bring it over, bring it over.
Because I know you're in the market for a router at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
Don't get too excited because this one's not for sale. This is sent to us by DeWalt, as you can probably guess. But you were looking at the Makita. You want a little...
It's, yeah, palm router. Yeah.
Laminate trimmer, that kind of thing, yeah? So this is... I've got 54 volt batteries in here, but this is running, these are 54/18 volt.
Right, see how heavy it is with the battery on. It'll be in mind, bear in mind that's a massive battery, isn't it?
You can put a smaller battery on.
Yeah.
A little less run time. The only thing about it is, I've got to say, normally you'd expect to find your switch there, wouldn't you?
Where is it?
Well, the switch is on the side here.
Okay.
And there's a good reason for that. Nice little light, I like the light. Fairly quiet, speed control, electronic brake.
Okay.
You can hear that going here.
Yep.
So quite nice, but you just have to get used to the fact that it's up there and not down there when you're doing plunge routing.
And I expect that's a simple thing because this is a separate attachment to that, so you couldn't really wire it through to there, no?
No,
it's got to be on the body,
that's
okay.
Exactly the reason.
Get used to it.
So we'll just take the battery off just to give us a...
So would this run on standard 18 volts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've got 18, if you're running the 18 volt DeWalt platform, then you can run this. What you want to do, you've decided now that this is a 3/8 or a 1/4 inch router. We're not talking heavy here.
Right.
For worktops, are we? You know.
And that's it. Look at that.
That is a brushless motor in there. Yeah. And you can see that obviously the motor's down there. So that's a brushless motor. You get loads of power, loads of runtime on it. It's a lovely little...
Do you know what I could use? I could use that for lots of other things. For example, sometimes I do a little bit of writing with a router, and that just not having any of the body on there. If I've got one of those little nice cone bits, I could do some really good stuff with it.
I would. The only thing I would say is counsel caution on that. Do you remember that guy we saw that had taken the end of his finger off with a router?
Yeah, the carpenter. So this is the plunge body, Roger.
So we take the plunge body out, and then we're going into our laminate trimmer.
Right.
Or palm router, as you might call it.
Yeah.
Line up with the groove, same. And then slide it in.
And how's it?
And that, adjust it.
Well, that's the height. Oh, that's neat.
That's your increments for adjusting. There's a little scale around there, so you can set it as 0.
Okay.
If you wanted to, then wind it down slightly or up slightly. Yeah. So once you get it in position, you obviously, let's go. You can go right down.
Until the collets
this
almost...
thing clicks on and off. Yeah.
All right, fine.
So that's now on.
Okay.
Right, you still spin it round. So that's it. That's your maximum travel there, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. The collet's lower than the.
So obviously, I like this. The fact that you can whip your battery in and out.
And then when you clamp it here.
Clamp it there because then it won't turn up or down.
So when I say about over tightening, that is it. It's no more. It's none of this graunching because, you know, I mean, these things can get hot if you continuous running, and sometimes they just lock on. You've got to really struggle to get them off. And I suppose the only other thing to consider is just be careful as you're putting that through there, so you don't catch those nice tungsten carbide. We'll do a bit of freehand work. Yeah, I like that.
Were you thinking about a cordless one, or were you thinking?
Well, it's got to go. I've got to go cordless. I've got to go cordless because.
So when you were looking at the Makita, what were you looking at? The cordless Makita.
I saw someone on site with it. I saw them using it, and sometimes that is what we base our decisions on. We see it being used. We have a little go of something. Sure. So you often need to try these things out. That's why I quite like the tool shows and going to tool shops where you can try stuff out.
We'll try and get one from Makita to give it a go. It'd be quite interesting to compare and contrast the two, wouldn't it? Really.
Yeah, and what I just did there was a little bit brutal as well. I mean, this is really hard. It's a little bit of Iroko. Yeah. It's really hard. I've gone straight in with a 2-flute
you went
cutter.
On speed 5. You went on.
I was on about a speed 5. Yeah, so not the highest speed. There are some tips that you must remember. Make sure you've got the right cutter for the job. That's the first tip. The second tip is look at the suggested speed of that cutter. There are different speeds for different cutters depending on the radius and also the amount of material it's going to try and remove. Don't overwork the machine.
don't heat the cutter up. Make sure you make a few passes. So if you're removing 3/4 of an inch or 18 millimeters, do it in 3 6mm or 3/4 inch bites and it'll be perfect. Another modern element of these is the fact they're brushless. Also, I mean, the batteries are incredible. I sometimes put that on charge, it charges up, and I can't even remember how often I have to charge it. You know, it's very, very rarely dull. I mean, take, for example, cutting a button, it takes about 30 seconds before you've completed the job. That's why the batteries do tend to last. So if you haven't got a Palm router, a Palm battery router, and you're running a platform of tools, Makita, Bosch, DeWalt, why don't you have a look at one and, you know, maybe adding it to your toolkit. I think it's a well worthwhile investment. And if you're running DeWalt, this is a must, guys.
Just out of interest for me, just try it on speed 1. I just want to see if it...
On speed 1?
Yeah, just want to see if it rags up a bit.
It'll probably struggle, but we'll give it a go. I'm being a bit brutal. If I was chopping butts out, I wouldn't. That's as deep as you'd ever find a butt.
My little tip is that whenever you do a little job like that, rather than putting your own name on it, because what are you going to do with it? Put your wife's name on it, stick it away in the cupboard. Then, when you're driving home one night and you think, oh, it's her birthday or Valentine's Day, and you think, have I got to go to the garage for a card? You go, no, because. Here, darling, I've made you something.
Do you know what? I think she would be... Nah, she's not going to be happy if I turn up with a block of Iroquois with her name on it. She'll be like...
So it's from the kids.
Thank
just
you.
put a little love heart in there.
Ah, now you're talking.
And stick a tenner behind it.
$5.